Welcome to this week's Rack of the Week. I'm starting this rack a few shots before the break ball because I've played position for this shot to nudge the 13 into break ball position. And I was really straight on that ball, so I don't know if I moved the 13 far enough, so I'm checking. Yep, looks like I've got a break ball. Okay, great. So I just need to shoot these remaining 3 balls. I want to use one of the balls that are higher on the table, the 10 or the 9, as a key ball for the break shot. This is kind of a non-traditional pattern, but this right here is position on both balls. I can shoot the 9 or the 10 here, whichever one looks better. And just shooting the 9, I've got an angle where I can just bring the cue ball over here and just try and get straight in on the 10. Then it's a real simple task to get on the break shot. Okay. Check my angle. I don't want a sharp cut on this break shot. It's pretty high on the rack, so I don't want the cue ball way over here. I'd like to be here where I've got a outside angle on that 9 ball. So got the outside angle, looks great. So I'm going to rack the balls and, oops, I can't get the rack far enough. The ball is actually in the rack. What do you do now? Well, luckily the cue ball's not in that bad of a position. I can shoot this 2-railer from the spotted ball and hit the head of the rack. What you're looking for on this shot is obviously you're going to hit the side rail and head towards the rack. You definitely do not want to hit the side of the rack. That leads to a scratch real often. What you're looking for on this shot is to come into the 15 ball if you can. If you hit the 9 ball first, then the 15, fine, and then the cue ball goes this way. You're not trying to blast the rack. You just kind of nudge some balls open and hope you get a shot. Something like this. So I'm kind of stuck on this 15, and I'm initially looking at it and going, oh, man, I got no shot. How unlucky was I? But then I notice, wait a minute, the 4 ball's hanging out there. Now, this is a real thin cut on the 4 ball. Yeah, I'm really close to the 15. I can't even back cut this 15 ball into the corner. But then I notice I've got a real thin cut on this 4. So you've got to make the most of what you got. I can only see half of this 4 ball, but that's enough. That's what I need in order to cut it. But where's the cue ball going to go? The natural route for the cue ball is kind of towards this side pocket. And so a lot of people might play the cue ball to this rail and off, so you have a cut on this 15. But I pinch it with left English for the purpose of holding the cue ball. See how thin? I hit that really soft, and the cue ball traveled a lot because it's a really thin cut shot. Now, I only have one shot, back cut the 15. What do you do in these situations? Just make the most of it. Don't fret about it. Now, there's no controlling the cue ball here. Take a lot of time, aim real carefully, high cue ball, and let it happen. There was no controlling the cue ball, but a high probability of coming away with a shot. When you look at the table, I have 2 shots. I have the 11 or the 14, but no one's going to shoot the 11 from here. I have 1 shot. What do? I want to pause this real quick. I notice right away that the 2 ball goes over here. So if I can get the right angle, a slight angle just below the 2 ball, then I can shoot the 2, nudge these balls open. The cue ball is going to go this way off from that cluster. I'll have a shot on one of these balls over here or on the 11 ball. Alternatively, which is what happens, I don't quite hit it hard enough. Oh, no, I hit it too hard. I hit it too hard, so I have the wrong angle. I'm really straight. So I've got to cheat this a little bit, and I want to punch the cue ball forward. Since I can't nudge these balls, I still only have 1 shot, the 2 ball. So I'm going to punch forward, and I hope to shoot kind of a roll forward. I was hoping to preserve an angle like here on the 8 ball to draw the cue ball back into this cluster. And I got a little fortunate. I have 2 shots here. One is the 8 and one's the 7. The 8 is super easy, and most people would shoot the 8, but it's the wrong shot. I have a back cut on the 7. It's sharper cut than it looks here, but it opens up the cluster. You have to shoot that shot. You can't shoot the 8 ball from there. It leads to nothing. And the shot that I shot opens up the rack. It's totally open now, and I have a break ball. So make the most of your shot, make the most of your choices. Now I've got a slight problem here. I can shoot the 8 and run into those balls, but I want to do it delicately. I don't want to lose the cue ball. Again, real hard to control where the cue ball's going here. Just give it a nice positive stroke and hope for the best. Now, it was real unlikely, again, that I was not going to come away with a shot. The easiest shot here is the 1 ball. Now, a lot of people are going to, just like that choice you were faced a couple of innings earlier where the easy shot was the 8. I can shoot the 1 and just roll forward. I'll have an easy shot on, let's see, let me get my marker working. I can shoot the 1 and the cue ball will roll forward, and I'll have a super easy shot on the 3 or the 11 or this stripe. I think it's a 10. But so what? That's not straight pool. Straight pool is not about shooting the easy shots. The next shot that you need to shoot after this 1 ball is the 6. The 6 is the only problem ball on the table because it blocks the pocket for the 9. And I don't care if it's not an easy shot that you can just tap in. You're going to have to play for an angle where you're shooting past this 9. You don't want to go too far where you're hooked behind the 9. That means you're going to have a sharper angle that you might be comfortable with on that 6. But that's the only shot to shoot in this situation. 100% of straight pool players are going to agree. You have to shoot the 6 after the 1. So now the cue ball is going to go to the rail, and I want to bring it across table and back out to that position that I just mentioned. Now I want this position in the center of the table where I'm going to have choices on any of these balls. So now that the 6 is gone, now the rack is, there's probably 10 different ways to run these last few balls. I'm looking at this ball, I think it's a 12, as the key ball, because it's going to be easy from a variety of angles to tap it into the side pocket and get an angle somewhere over here on this break shot. Because that's the key ball, my K2 ball for sure is going to want to be either one of these other balls that are above it. So that's why I went from this ball on the side to the 9. You're clearing these lower balls, and then you play the 3 balls that are on the top end of the table. Right here, I do something stupid. I'm playing through 9-ball type position. I'm trying to go around the 10 ball like this, which is really dumb because I could have just used a hint of inside English and just come over here without any risk. That's the reason why you choose those positional routes. And I got real lucky that the 10 ball is now sitting in front of the pocket. So I got real lucky that the 10 didn't like freeze to the rail right here. So still making the most of my shots, even though I didn't get the cue ball where I wanted. Checking my angle, right there's where I want to be. So I just putting a yellow mark. Let's see how close I get to that. Real important I love putting my cue tip on the table where I want my cue ball to be for the break shot. How'd I do? About 3 inches off, maybe 4, but a super angle on this 5 ball. Now, normally I would just show the next break shot, and that would be the end of the rack of the week, but something kind of interesting happens and involves a safety, which I have never shown any kind of safety play on my racks of the week. So let's do something different, shall we? This is just a center ball break shot. The break ball is very high. The cue ball is going to hit this stripe ball at the top of the rack very full, and I just want a center ball hit, and I'm hoping the cue ball just doesn't travel very far. Something like that. Ooh. So I had a little bit of, I think I hit a little bit above center. So rather than deflecting off the rack like a few inches to here, the cue ball went forward, and now I'm buried in the rack. So very unfortunate, but this is a competitive match, not a high run attempt. And so I choose the safety. So I'm studying the rack, a little disappointed that I didn't control the cue ball better and get a shot to keep the run going. But I'm really looking for a shot to continue the rack. There's got to be something, right? And I eventually discovered the only shot that there is, and that's this. The 8 ball can carom off the 6 into the corner. But I can't hit the 8 ball. But I'm close to the 14. And I could shoot the cue ball into the 14 with a little bit of draw and carom it into the 8. And it'll go. This is a really low percentage shot, folks. I'm just describing it. I don't shoot this. I'm just describing. Yeah, now I'm telling my opponent, this is my only shot. But it's like I said I'd need 20 tries to make this shot. Okay. So I choose the option that's obvious. The obvious option is the safety here, but how do you play safe from here? And I can hit the 7-ball full, and I want to just do a soft pinch draw. I know it's hard to see because the camera's on the wrong end of the table, but I can do a soft pinch draw, and I'm trying to sandwich the cue ball right here between the 8 and the 14. And this is really effective safety for this reason. Beginning of the rack, I got a ball here that's open to one corner pocket, another ball here, and a ball on the bottom rail. So where is my opponent going to leave the cue ball that I'm not going to have a shot? I don't quite get the cue ball where I wanted it, but it's right up against the 8, so my opponent doesn't really have a shot. I'm not going to show my opponent's shot because it's not fair to them, but I'll show them what happens afterwards. They tried to make that carom that I pointed out, but they're jacked up against the 8 ball, so they've got to elevate, and it doesn't work out. So anyway, this is the result. I can shoot the 8 past here. So I've got a potential break ball here. I've got a little cluster right here, and that's what I need to deal with. So this is a strategic shot. I want you to notice what I did. I had problem balls. These were a little bit tied up. They weren't much of a problem, but it was totally natural to send the cue ball off the 8 into those balls gently. A lot of people think that breakout shots have to be hit hard. Super soft is all you need to open up those balls. 6 balls, the obvious insurance ball. And now that was a very adventurous shot. That was uncalled for. What I was trying to do is spin the cue ball long off from the 1 into this cluster, and I felt it would come off the cluster up here. That was too much, too adventurous to hope for. But it didn't turn out badly. I've got a good shot here. So that was drawing the cue ball past my potential break ball to get an angle on this 9, because the cue ball will then go into this 4-ball cluster. I've got the 3 ball and the 2 ball back this way as insurance balls. Once again, notice, you don't have to blast into your breakout shots. Just softly, and the balls are open. Now, these 2 balls are the only problem left on the table, and both of them will go in this corner pocket once the 11 ball's gone. So right here, I'm shooting the 11 real softly. Yeah, I wanted the cue ball to stop here. I hit it too hard. Yeah, see, I'm pointing. I wanted the cue ball to stop here. And the reason why is then I'm cutting the 7 ball, and the cue ball is going this way. So I have a shot on one of these balls in the corner pocket. Okay, but I failed that. Now I've got to back cut the 10. I'm going to pause the video for a second, because a lot of people are going to be really going to fret over this shot. This is a recovery shot. Obviously, I've misplayed my position, but I've got a back cut on the 1 ball, and that's the only shot I have. Now, you don't want to approach this shot with a careless attitude that says, geez, I don't know what's going to happen to the cue ball. And you need to play all games. This is a video that I've got planned coming up for the future. In order to be a good 9-ball player, in order to be a good straight pool player, you need to play all games. 1 pocket, banks, and 3-cushion billiards. And I've played quite a bit of 3-cushion billiards in my time. I'm not a very good 3-cushion billiard player. I'm fair, but it gives you a knowledge of how the cue ball moves around the table, and that really helped on this shot. I'm hitting this 1 ball very thin. I know the cue ball is going to go to this rail and off, and I'm not going to hit the 2 ball. And I'm going to have a high English on the cue ball. I know that. So what does the high English do? It's going to make the cue ball curve a little bit off this rail. See that? Just a slight curve. And then the cue ball is going to pick up running English off this rail. This is a running English because it's coming into the rail at this angle. So it's going to have right English on it. Well, what's going to happen to the cue ball when it hits this rail with right English? Left English is running English, which is going to make it go long. Now, normally you would expect right English would shorten the angle, okay? But the cue ball has high on it, and it's coming from a running English rail to a reverse rail. So it's also going to go longish off this rail. And that's something you learn from 3-cushion billiards. and then the cue ball is hitting this rail. This is another reverse rail. So rather than the cue ball running long off of that rail, it's going to run short. So I know that my cue ball, I've got a lot of lines messing up on the table there. I know that the cue ball is going to hit here and come short off this rail and short off this rail, which brings me to center table. So with that knowledge, you can shoot at this one ball with a little more confidence that the cue ball isn't just going wild. It has a very high percentage chance of going someplace favorable. And I'm not exaggerating the slightest bit when I tell you that comes from playing three-cushion billiards. You need to play all games to get a good general knowledge of how the cue ball reacts and how the object balls react. And every game supports every other game. So now I'm hoping to preserve this ball as a break ball. But the 3 ball could also be a break ball. And now I'm trying to achieve that position that I was trying to get earlier. That is, I want to lay the cue ball on the bottom rail. The reason why is then when I shoot the 7, the cue ball goes this way, and I've got a shot on one of these balls in this corner pocket. So that same route is still there, and I was looking to get it, and I didn't get it. So huge mistake. And I got the wrong angle on the 7, but I still could have brought the cue ball up here, and I didn't, and I don't know why. So I think that was a huge mistake, and I think I make another one because it looks to me like right here I can cut the 7 and bring the cue ball, let the cue ball run into the 14. Because if I can do that, then I'll have a shot on the 9 or the 3 ball back in this side, and I might even make the 14 into a better break shot. I don't get that, so I decide to, what I was trying to do here was get an angle on the 3 to just draw the cue ball over here short side for these balls. Didn't get that angle, so I'm going to my plan B for the 3 ball as a break shot. So it took the entire rack to get my short side position on these 2 balls. But I got there. So it's making the most of every shot. Don't lose faith. Just keep making the most of it. Now from here, I decide the best way to get on the break shot is the traditional Mike Siegel's favorite, 2 rails around the break ball. So that's why I played position to make sure I had a good angle on this 9. I don't want to be very straight at all. I want a nice angle on the 9. Right English, running English I'm using to change the angle off the bottom rail, and it really helps to control the speed better. So got a great break shot. Now this is a high break ball, and so I'm cueing the cue ball at the top because I want it to go forward into the rack. I don't think there's any risk of scratching here. The cue ball should hit these balls and go in this direction. But in this case, you want to hit it hard, but that's not available here. Because if you hit it too hard, you can deflect away and hit that head ball too thin. And that's the reason why the rack isn't super wide open. But I want to show this last shot because this is one more example of making the most of what you have. Look, I'm visibly upset that I didn't come out with a better shot here. But I have a shot on the 8 ball up in this upper corner pocket. Now, just like the 1 ball, you need to make a firm decision about the cue ball and then forget about the cue ball. So the decision here is just pinch draw the cue ball so that the cue ball just stays under control and I'll have a shot on that ball right next to the cue ball. So once I've made that decision, I can let go of the cue ball. I'm cueing low, and all of my energies are focused on cutting that ball cleanly. And then I can also hit it pretty soft, which makes the pocket bigger. So I think there was a few examples within those 2 racks where I didn't have very good options. Most of the time I had 1 ball to shoot. Just look at the table and make a decision of what your best positional route is and make the most of that 1 shot. That's one of the beautiful things about straight pool. You'll only have 1 available shot to shoot, but you can clear the table from that 1 shot by committing to it and being creative. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about straight pool. Thanks for watching.